couple of comments before we even begin. We've got a pretty ambitious agenda tonight. And naturally, I'd like to roll through it as efficiently as possible. In aid of that, Deb has been preparing folders that she makes available to the select board with the relevant and material documents for review and preparation before we get to the meetings. I don't know if the public's aware of that, but out of all of this, I have sort of two opening questions here that I think are worth putting out to the public. And Hannah, if you could get this into the minutes, I'd appreciate it. The first question is, does an ambitious agenda present challenges regarding public participation? I'm going to wait a beat on that because I want to hear feedback from the public, if there is any. Does an ambitious agenda present challenges for public participation?
Does that include us on the board?
Yeah, perhaps, maybe. Well, no, it's about public participation.
Oh, no, I meant as far as like comment. Making comment on it.
I think it's the board's job to comment.
No. Let me rephrase that. You're seeking comment on this right now, right? I'm basically asking for.
Correct. Yeah, I want public interaction here. But if the board's got thoughts on it, we should talk about that as well. So I'm not seeing anybody jumping up and down. Well, okay, Ms. McDelaney.
I don't think so. I mean, if we find that it's overwhelming, we can leave, you can, right?
Yeah, and that's the point. 4-hour meetings have gotten really old. Let me put it this way, and I'd like the minutes to reflect this. I think the public should raise their hand anytime they have something they feel is necessary to add, even in a select board working meeting, assuming that it's on point and on the agenda topic. So that's my thought there. And let me back up again. Democracy is a participatory sport, and it doesn't work if folks aren't speaking up. So that's the whole idea behind all this. All right, my second question is, Deb's meeting folders and the documents they contain, those are available to the select board, but is that a per se open meeting violation right there?
I don't think so, just because it's information only. You're not making decisions via email on what is in said folder.
That's where I was thinking too, and I want to comment again that Deb and I talked about this earlier, so this is not a throw the clerk under the bus thing. I'm really looking for public feedback here.
I'm trying to give you as much information as I have available to you so you can make an informed decision. And if you do have questions over the weekend, say it's something to do with the fire department, and one of you decides that, hey, maybe Colin should really be here at this meeting, we need to invite him, or hey, Colin, I've got a quick question, give him a call and say, can you clarify this?
I agree with all of that. The one area of concern that I see is that we've had access to all the documents. We're going to be talking about it in the public meeting, but the public won't know really what we're talking about. And I asked Deb earlier whether it could be possible or whether it makes sense that the public have access to a read-only version of the file we have access to, if they're interested and they want to get up to speed. That's not a problem we have to solve today, but I'm just putting it out there for consideration.
If I may.
Yeah.
A lot of towns do this. They'll publish like slide decks. If they have a projector up for their select board meetings, they'll publish a slide deck along with their agendas. We could easily do that as well on the website. You could easily just publish it there.
Yep.
And say, hey, these are the documents we're using for consideration tonight.
That's an idea straight out of corporate America, and it feels to me like a good idea. We don't have to solve that problem tonight, but I think that's the beginning of a potential future agenda item. There'll be some other open meeting action discussions, maybe actions in the board housekeeping process farther down in the agenda. And I want to comment again that I arranged the agenda this way with a great deal of Deb's help, simply because we're paying 3 staff to be here through a lot of the financial issues, up to and including the cemetery committee update, I think. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so we need the treasurer here and maybe the assistant treasurer as well. After that, we don't need them, and this is all in the interest of trying to be a wise steward of the town's finances. All right, any questions or comments so far?
Yeah, if we were being that wise, wouldn't we make their issues first so they could go home sooner than later?
We're not paying the public to attend though.
Oh, these two.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what we've done for this evening. Yep.
That's
I
why
feel
he's
like that's
done it.
generally what we've done.
Yeah, oh, I see, thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, modifications to the agenda?
I only have one. As far as the MOUs go, I'm still waiting to hear back from Passive. So unless anyone else has anything to add to that, if we're okay punting that to the May regular meeting.
That's probably what's gonna happen. Informational, subject matter
What are
only.
you looking for from Beth?
Can we get to that one on the agenda?
Okay, yep.
Thanks. Anything else, Will?
That's all I have.
Any other modifications to the agenda?
Can I just, what about the letter we received from the person in, up north regarding the letter, and then Deb Powers wrote to us asking us to write a letter to the governor about,
Act 1.
Act 181, because it does affect us.
Is this something that's coming up?
Do we put it on the next agenda, or how do we do that?
I would say put on the next agenda because I have an NVDA update / stuff we need to discuss at the next meeting regarding future land use maps.
Okay,
So,
that's all. I just, because we received that email from that other person.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing that. That's good. Okay, so, yeah, thank you. I'm not hearing that there's any additional modifications to the agenda. All right, so next item, response to conflict allegation. This is subject to 24 Vermont Statutes Annotated, Section 1992B, discussion and probable action. So I received an email from Robin Migdalini, I believe on March 29th. I won't characterize it except to say that it raised kind of similar issues to the allegations raised by Jim Hayes about my conflict of interest with him. So I have answered that as I feel I should. Robin was asking me to recuse myself from issues having to do with Mr. Hayes. I'm not going to do that. But this is the gist of it, and her complaint is listed at the front of my letter, and then I go on to provide a response that includes my last letter regarding kind of the Jim Hayes issue. But the crux of this response here boils down to paragraph 2 here, and this will all be published with the board's approval in some amended minutes to be determined. Okay, I have no demonstrated or provable bias against Mr. Hayes. To the contrary, Mr. Hayes has been more beneficially served by my presence on the select board than by any other select board member, because I resolved a long-running retirement dispute with Mr. Hayes and the town, advocated for and obtained a financial settlement on behalf of Mr. Hayes. I've helped moderate harsh disciplinary procedures against Mr. Hayes in favor of a gentler, results-oriented approach. I voted in favor of every pay raise Mr. Hayes has received in the past 12 months. I voted in favor of every COLA increase Mr. Hayes has received in the past 12 months. I voted in favor of all health and fringe benefits acted upon by the board in Mr. Hayes' favor within the past 12 months. I voted against board action, which would have decreased the financial standing and well-being of Mr. Hayes. which were intended to reduce healthcare benefits and payment coverage of Mr. Hayes. I see no objective or apparent circumstances in which to recuse myself from any matter involving Mr. Hayes. Short statement that I do not exhibit bias against Mr. Hayes simply because I hold expectations that he grow and rise into a fully performing and successful road foreman. So I'll let you read the letter, but at this moment, I would entertain a board motion to amend XYZ minutes to include this document. And the XYZ is which date? Should it be the 30th of March or the 13th of April?
Well, this was never raised in a meeting, right? It was raised over email, so I feel like we could append them to last meeting.
The date of the email was March 29. That was just before the 30th when we did meet. To me, it makes no difference, but I believe they do need to be made public.
So put them in with today's.
That would suffice too, I think.
Matches the agenda.
Okay. I don't have a feeling about it one way or the other, only that they do need to go into the record. All right, so I'd entertain a motion to amend to, well, we don't need to amend today's. Yeah,
Just gonna put them in.
that sound right, Deb?
Sounds good to me.
Yep, all right, done deal. The ethics liaison has a copy of them, but if you wish, I can forward a copy as well. Wait, how do you want to handle it?
I can forward it, that's fine.
Okay.
Forward it to Hannah.
Yeah, I'll need
I
to.
got a file for all of them.
Secondly, regarding Will's conflict of interest letter and that he made to the board, I can't even remember the date at this point. The Will's letter referenced but didn't include the allegations that were raised by town members and which are contained inside my letter. So I would ask the board that we make another amendment of the, what date was that?
March 23rd.
Is that correct? Another amendment of the March 23rd meeting minutes to include the town's / my allegations of conflict of interest. I'll need a motion for that.
Did we not put them in? I thought we made a motion to add them into that meeting.
We did. Will's non-recusal letter was added, but not the original allegations. And
Oh, okay.
Will's letter did reference the allegations by number, but not in actual content.
Okay.
So I still need a motion to amend the, what date again? March 23rd, meeting minutes. All right, I'll make the motion. Can I have a second for the motion, please?
I'll second.
All right, motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of amending the March 23rd meeting minutes to include a list of the allegations for conflict of interest regarding Will Jones, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, sounds like the ayes have it. The ayes do have it. 5-0, Hannah. Okay. Where does that bring us? Approval of meeting minutes, April 13, 2026. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
I have a correction.
I think the correct action would still be to put the motion on the table and then amend.
I'll make a motion that we approve that.
I'll second it.
Okay, Kathy moves, Sean second. Motions, matters on the table. So Kathy, you haven't,
The correction where it says Tim Yarrow had looked over the copy of Tim's employment contract, and it should be Matt Walsh's contract.
good catch.
And what page is that on?
The last page, it's just up above the agenda items.
Thank you.
Any other edits or modifications? Kathy made the motion. She also made the amendment. Sean, do you consider that a friendly amendment to your second?
Sure.
Robert's rules.
That's fine.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of approving the April 13 meeting minutes as shortly amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Here's the ayes have it. The ayes do have it. Okay, next item, Lister certification. This, I expect, is informational. Who picks up on that?
Both of us, we will.
Let's see, it's Mike
Keach,
Peach.
and Rico Kozlowski.
I don't have my glasses,
Anna, do
so
you
that's
need
a
a
long
spelling
way
on that
away.
last name?
Hey, Rico and Mike, thank you very much.
Hold on a second.
And then.
Rico.
Rico.
And the spelling is K-O-Z.
Kozlowski.
Kozlowski.
Correct.
Take it away, gentlemen.
The select board has a copy of this letter in the aforementioned packet. I'm not going to read it all, but just a couple of highlights. This is to correct some misinformation that was put out at the last select board meeting. Basically, prior to January 1st, 2026, there was no requirements for listers. There was some voluntary accreditation you could receive, but nothing mandatory. Effective January 1st, 2026, 32 VSA 4052 went into effect. She then uses myself as an example in this letter. Mike was reelected in March of 2026 and therefore has 1 year to comply. The requirement did not exist when Mike was elected in 2023. The grace period, quote, being referred to is not retroactive and does not mean last election, rather most recent after 2026. Therefore, at this time, none of the listers are out of compliance. Comments are made about the 2025 reassessment that were incorrect. That has been approved by the state, stamped. Any assessments we're doing going forward are obviously all fine as well. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say, I was disappointed that Matt would have brought this out without really verifying his information. I'm not sure where he got the information, but we got this from our district advisor, and it's actually written into law. And what I found most disturbing is that he would bring up the fact that, oh, it could affect the previous reappraisal that we did. And quite honestly, I think that brings, it contributes to divisiveness. You've got people thinking, could this not be correct because this is brought out, whatever. It's not, but I really wish that Matt and any of you, anybody that needs to talk to us as listers would come to us and speak to us personally. It would have been the best thing to do. We could have resolved it really quickly instead of having all this stuff coming out. And lastly, I got to tell you guys, I'm a newbie on this. It's only my second year, but you've got two guys in Mike and Howard Remick that are just phenomenal at doing what they're doing. We as a group are fair. We try to get things, as level as possible. So I did want to point that out as far as the listers go, but I wish it would have been handled a little differently than it were. We have tried to communicate with Matt and get some information. He's not getting back to us. It's making for a difficult situation, and I would like the select board to kind of look into it. Is he able to do his particular position correctly? Because we've looked for permits that have been out for a while, and we just have not been able to communicate with them. And so we're hoping to improve that, but it's just not happening. So I did want to bring that up. So thank you. Appreciate it.
We appreciate you clarifying it so quickly and your comments. I, for one, thought it was a little unusual, the way it was blatted out at a public meeting like that.
Yeah, we as a town just need to stick together. We really do, and that's my idea behind it. So.
I agree. Can I just ask a question from the devil's advocacy point of view, and a lot of ignorance how it all works behind the scenes?
Mhm.
But if there were no certification or training requirements before, what was it, year 2025? Is that part correct?
2025 is when the education requirements were first spelled out.
Yeah.
They take effect January 1st of 2026.
Thank you for that.
Yep.
In that instance then, how provides any property owner confidence in an accurate and fair number?
Just a grievance, I guess.
The whole appeal process.
Yeah, the whole appeal process.
Yeah.
That would be the only way.
But you've also taken classes, right?
Yeah, just because there were no mandatory classes,
Correct.
we have been going to classes since I've been on the board, I mean,
And experience
consistently. We were just all at a class
last week.
last week.
Yeah.
I was at one earlier in that week. The rules just changed on all the cell towers. So it's like any other. The legislature is rapidly making changes.
That's the situation now. If it wasn't mandated in the past, why did you take training classes?
Just to keep
Because
up.
I'd like to know what I'm doing. I want to be fair with everybody.
Yeah.
Marcel?
Well, we use Nimerick software, and you guys are using Nimerick software, and that's all a state-run thing, and they have to agree with everything we do. So that valuation comes from Nimerick anyways. In our last appraisal, there was a Nimerick monitor who is certified,
Mhm.
that went through and did all the appraisals with Mike and Rico and Howard. So they were all appraised by somebody who was certified.
Right, and they were approved, by the state.
By the state.
Yeah, by our advisors. Right, so we weren't doing anything, just saying, okay, we're gonna put these in. They were all approved.
I forgot there's so many moving pieces. I appreciate your feedback.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Anything else to add? Any other questions
No,
from the
thank you.
board? Yeah, thanks for coming in, gentlemen. Really appreciate it.
Okay,
Thank you.
God, we could straighten it out.
I hope it is. I mean, I think it is. It sounds like it is.
Thank you. I'm gonna head out, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
And Mike, see you around.
Next item, budget to actual finances, informational. Heather, this sounds like you.
Yeah, so in the past, I have requested this item be on the agenda after the end of a quarter, just to answer any select board questions. I didn't receive any in email, so if there were questions, now would be the time.
My questions at a moment like this are simply, how are we doing?
So after first quarter, the overall town budget is about 27% spent, which is what I would expect, given the fact that we paid all but one of the appropriations, and we paid out the select board stipends. So that would explain a little bit higher rate of spending. Highway department is about 20%, makes sense. Fire department is managing their expenses and their budget very well. They've only spent about 7% of their budget in first quarter. The transfer station is operating on a slight deficit right now, but that is to be expected with the cycle of punch card purchasing. So I expect that will right itself in the next quarter, and you're gonna see a fluctuation each quarter depending on when the revenue is recognized for those punch card purchases. The one thing I did want to bring to the board is that the board administrator's salary is paid out of the select board line item. So if you look at what's left in that line item and divide it out by the hourly wage, she has about 114 hours left for the next 3 quarters. That's most likely due to the number of meetings that are happening that she's attending. So I just want the board to be aware of that.
It sounds like we're gonna run over budget on that unless we can cut back on numbers of meetings.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna overspend that line item for sure. You're not gonna overspend the overall town budget, but you will overspend that line item.
Keep in mind, Hannah doesn't do just your meeting.
Yeah.
She does ERB, cemetery,
Planning commission.
planning. Hannah, am I missing anything?
Nope, planning commission, DRB, cemetery, then this one.
The only question I have is that one outstanding appropriation, the Prevent Child Abuse Vermont, they still aren't getting back to you guys?
Yeah, I received their W-9, so
Oh,
they'll
you
be paid, they'll be paid in this run coming up on Saturday.
Okay.
Is there anything else, big ticket wise, the board ought to be planning for within this fiscal year? I mean, there's the obvious, of course, but do you see anything else coming up?
Not that I'm aware of.
Any other questions? Public? Okay, thank you, Heather, appreciate it. Next, first read of credit cards, cash receipt, traffic ordinance, cemetery lot pricing, all policy items. Heather, I understand this is a works in progress at your desk.
So I have the credit card policy and the cash receipts return check policy, those two are mine.
Okay.
So I took a first stab at the credit card policy, making it reflect more of what is going on right now. Keep in mind that the only 2 individuals that have credit cards for the town right now are myself is a credit card and the fire chief has a debit card. So this policy is pretty standard. Lays out allowable costs, lays out what purchases and backup documentation needs, lays out the security of them, and what would happen if you, as an individual, didn't comply with the policy.
To my read, it looked like a solid first draft. And then on the other hand, I have no idea what goes into a good credit card policy. In my house, it's like, don't spend too much, too fast, don't use the card.
So this credit card policy lays out more about, who has it, how they get it, and then what is allowable to use your credit card for, and the turning in receipts. So it's more process.
And it's really as straightforward as you made it seem. And all I'm asking is, what goes into a good credit card policy?
Right.
Okay.
What is in sections 5 through 9? The document that's in the drive only has 1 page for 1 through 4 and then a page for 10 through 13.
I'm sorry.
Where's the other page?
5 is prohibited uses, meaning you can't find alcohol. Spending limits, documentation and receipts, reconciliation and review, and disputed or unauthorized charges. Sorry about that, that was mine, Eric.
Oh, good.
I just didn't tell it to stand on sides. You should have called me when I left.
I didn't notice it until like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, I didn't catch the numbering either.
Well, good thing it's the first draft. I will email it, I'll share it with all of you tomorrow. And
Thanks, Deb.
when we take it up at the next meeting, you will have the complete document.
I presume you want to present this for action as quickly as possible?
That's at the board's discretion. I just redrafted the policy for the board's consideration and future adoption.
Do you think it would be prudent with this policy to go back to the procurement policy and specify who would have access to a credit card, or should it just be better left to the discretion of the board, or I think it was other designated authority?
So with regards to the procurement policy, which basically states that department heads have access to their budget and making decisions with their budget. Currently, the process is, even with the fire chief who has a debit card, orders for stuff come through the town office. So our credit card is used. If the board wants the credit card policy more aligned to department heads, that's fine, we can write that in. But ultimately, the board decides whether someone gets a card or not.
What does the chief currently use his debit card for?
Let's see, purchasing of supplies mostly for the firehouse.
Stuff he doesn't have to come to us and use a credit card. If they're at Lowe's, they need some.
Yeah.
Nuts, bolts, whatever, they can buy it. It's tied to our general fund and I monitor it.
Is distribution of credit cards really a board function, or is that the domain of the secretary, the treasurer's office?
So I will say that the credit card I currently have was set up for me when I took office. So I don't know if the board said yes, let her have one. I made the decision to give access to a debit card for the fire chief for ease, so.
Well, I'm asking because the board doesn't have the responsibility or take the heat directly if something goes wrong with a credit card. So
Right.
I wonder if that makes the board ill-suited to make a card distribution decision.
Okay.
And I'm only raising the question. I don't know the answer.
So I think that that's a board discussion as to whether or not you, as a board, want to say yay or nay if a department head wants a credit card, or whether you would leave that to the treasurer's authority.
Any thoughts?
I mean, I say if it's a department head under us, that should be a call we make.
I will say, as far as Jim's use of the credit card, if he needs to order something that needs to go on the credit card, he usually comes to one of us and says, I found this part somewhere, can you order it for me?
So it would speed things up just a little bit that if Jim had direct access to the credit card?
Not necessarily. Mm-mm.
Has everybody had a chance to review this policy that came to us? So if you don't mind, I make a motion that we pass the policy as it was presented.
It's only as discussion on your agenda.
Yes, it's not an action
It's
item.
not an action item.
So we're gonna wait till yet another month?
No, 2 weeks.
Oh, 2 weeks.
So the only thing I would caution about multiple credit cards is just the internal controls. So right now, it's just one for the town office and then the fire chief. So,
And the one for the office isn't out in the public, it's in the
that's a
safe.
good thing.
It's in the safe.
I don't carry the town
No.
credit card with me. It's in the town
It's in the
office,
safe.
in the safe.
I will say in those places I've worked, the department heads don't have them. They go through the purchasing, one person in the main office that does the
And then
purchasing.
receipts stay in the main office and you're not chasing receipts.
And you have an idea of what's being purchased. So because we don't go on a purchase order system, it's a lot better to track it.
And it's not like we question Jim when he says, I need a blah, blah, blah. We're like, okay,
It's his budget.
Tell me where it is and I'll order it for you.
We have a lot more control. And I think your auditors would tell you the same.
The external auditors.
External auditors would
Yes.
tell you the same.
Yes, for sure. So I think if the board wants to just take a read of the whole policy that Deb is gonna scan to you tomorrow, that would be, and if there are any changes that you want to see made, that would be good. And then adopt it at the next meeting.
Okay. Wait 2 weeks?
I guess so.
The world's not gonna end in 2 weeks with a credit card, so it's fine.
No.
Not within the town offices.
All right.
So the next policy is a cash receipts return check. So I rewrote this removing petty cash from the original. So the original policy was written in 2015, and we did away with petty cash. So we don't have that option any longer. So I rewrote this as a cash receipts return check policy. It basically gives you the principles for the policy, the authorized personnel, so this is who is allowed to accept money on behalf of the town. It spells out the forms of payment that are accepted by the town. And then the return check policy is written in the way that we currently operate. If we have a return check, we reach out to the individual and ask, should we redeposit it or is there another form of payment? We don't charge them a fee unless the bank charges us a fee. So,
Is that stated in here?
yes, in the very end.
Got it? Yeah.
So that reflects reality, as opposed to having a policy that says we're gonna charge them a $25 fee, which we don't do.
Anybody have any comments, thoughts, questions? Again, something we can act on at the next. Anything further on cash receipt?
That was one I took on. If you recall, last fall, I believe it was, Jim installed the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit by the school. So I just updated, section 4, where it says SA3 Duck Pond Road. I changed the 40 to a 25 miles an hour beginning at Vermont Route 18 to 366 Duck Pond Road, which is currently Fenox Excavating, and then the rest is the same.
That 25 isn't seasonal when school's in session, it's year round?
It's year round.
Okay.
So I just thought we should update this because the sheriff's department does ask for a copy of this occasionally, so that they can enforce. And if you approve it at the next meeting, on the last page under adoption history, I'll just put number 6, updated May 11th, 2026.
Very well. So this is ready to act upon, in your opinion?
Yes, yep,
Okay.
unless somebody knows of another change that I wasn't aware of. Kathy, you did ask about Duck Pond Road and Lower Waterford Road. It's a stop sign down there. Which I do believe it states in here.
Okay. The traffic ordinance reflects the current situation with the stop sign, not the one
Yes.
Dave is proposing,
Yes.
Dave Morrison. Yeah, okay, good. Any questions or other thoughts? All right, last, cemetery lot pricing.
Yes, I took this on for the cemetery committee. The previous pricing lot for Riverside had a 3 grave lot and Lower Waterford had a 4 grave lot and an 8 grave lot. Just to give you an idea, a 3 grave lot is 3 caskets or 9 cremains. And most people are not buying that size anymore. We're not having the families that we used to back in the 60s. So a lot of people are buying singles or doubles. So we just updated the policy to reflect the current trend.
If somebody wanted a larger lot,
Absolutely. If somebody said, I want a 4-grade lot, then we can absolutely make one. That's not a problem.
But it seemed like the old four grade lots were like at a slightly discounted rate. Would they still be basically paying double for a 2-grade lot?
2-grade lot. Well, I can tell you right now, Riverside has no 4-grade lots. It's Lower Waterford only. So if you took a 2 and you doubled it, to a 4, it's actually cheaper. Or no, same price.
Oh, really?
So yeah, same price. Yep. I was looking at the 8, sorry. Those 8-grade lots are massive. And they're not used. There are families that have them that big and they're not. They're not used.
your note on the agenda says cemetery lot pricing policy. It makes sense to keep the pricing the same, or is inflation at work
Yeah,
here?
no, we're consistent with the towns around us in our prices.
Okay.
Might possibly be non sequitur, but are there a lot of burials in cemeteries where people bury in like a concrete or a lead coffin as opposed to a wood one?
I'm not aware of any wood ones going in. I believe now they all have to be vaulted.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So like if you had
Unless,
say for sake of argument, you had a 4-lot space, if you bury them in wood, one doesn't come back up, or when you bury them in wood, right, one reopens after X amount of decades
no,
of.
we've never recycled lots.
Oh, okay.
No. I know that's practice in some places that after 100 years, they put somebody on top of you, but that's not the practice here.
Okay.
No. We haven't run out of space yet for that to be an issue.
And as with the rest, you'd probably be looking for an action item at the next meeting.
Yep, and we'll do the same thing on the bottom of the policy. In the past, it says change history, and we'll just update it May 11th, 2026, updated.
Yeah, Kathy?
No.
Oh, that's your reason. Question. Any other questions about cemetery lot pricing policy? How much space is there, Deb?
Lower Waterford, we're running out of space. So I foresee that no more lot sales will be happening there. Probably maybe this year, could be next year. Riverside, we're in a really good situation because we have the new section. So we're okay. If you've ever been down to Riverside too, when you're looking at it, there's a tree way in the back. That's our new section. And then across the ravine, there's a whole nother section that we can develop for the future.
Do we have a green burial policy, or is that not possible in Vermont yet?
It's at the planning commission.
Right, I think your green burial, though, is home burials, not cemetery burials.
Yeah, correct.
Right. We have discussed it at one point, but the board is not in favor of green burials at this time, until we learn more. We want to see what other towns are doing and how it's working.
And from the discussion at the planning commission, it sounds like we develop the policy, send it here, and then it has to go before the town meeting.
The select board votes on a green burial policy?
I think that's what I'm hearing. I'm not
Right.
almost really certain.
If that one goes through, then there's work on the town office side because people will have to let me know where those spots are. Because as Sean can probably speak, you have to be so far away from a water system and there's requirements.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to be recorded in the town clerk's office.
Did you say that do we vote on a green burial policy would have to go to town meeting?
I thought I heard that.
Oh.
I could be wrong.
The only data point I have on that was St. J, I believe, recently passed one, and I think it was just a select board action. I didn't think they needed it on town meeting.
Yeah, I
Well,
don't know.
we'll learn as it comes up. All right, anything else in the first read of the 4 policy discussions? Moving on. Investment fund discussion action. And I think you're in a better place to lead off with this.
Sure. So Tim and I we made a list of financial institutions and we reached out to them. Tim and I have managed to meet with 3 and received 3 proposals. We have 2 more that we have agreed to reach out to. Whether or not we meet with them will depend on their interest. So we do have 3 solid proposals, and given the fact that we're waiting to meet potentially with 2 more, the conversation tonight really is around making sure that the board as a whole is willing and ready to start an investment fund. The start of a conversation about what you may or may not be comfortable investing in. And the idea of having a community forum that brings community members together to talk about the investment fund, so we can also get input from them on what they may or may not be comfortable investing in. So this is really just a conversation. Tim and I have done a lot of work. We do have solid proposals. And if the other 2 don't come through for meetings or proposals, then we would be in a place, I would be in a place to come to the board to give my suggestion on which institution to move forward with.
It seems to me there's a lot to unpack there, and it's a small audience tonight. I feel like we need to be reaching out broadly to the town just to get opinions and feedback. For example, and Hannah would ask that the minutes reflect this. One of the questions Heather raised is whether the board is on board, and we haven't taken any votes yet, but I've sensed positive reactions to the idea of a town investment fund to vastly improve our return on investment to the funds that are currently just sitting in cash at the banks. So that's the beginning of the discussion with the public. The next, as Heather had suggested, is sort of along the lines of what's in your wallet, the old TV commercial for credit cards, but in this case, it's what's in your investment portfolio. And some of the possibilities where we could run into trouble is whether folks have a real sticking point with something, with an investment that includes, I'm just gonna throw names out, like McDonald's or ExxonMobil or Palantir or Tesla. The proposals that I have seen so far, one of them was I think close to brilliantly put together, that balanced our desire for an infinite return on investment, but manages the risks successfully. And there were a lot of modern stock in there that you would recognize, like Alphabet, the old Google, Meta, which is old Facebook, Microsoft, Apple, NVIDIA, and a lot of other stocks as well, but those were the big ones. So there's a discussion there, like, where does a person's morality play into this? But it's also about the town obtaining a good return on investment. So we'll have to balance that out. Again, more public conversation. Anything else, Heather?
I know we're sitting on almost $900,000 right now.
Almost 900. How did we gain another 100,000?
We've gotten some money in that's come in and,
Not that I'm not delighted.
So I think there's twofold. We'll want to make sure that the other offices in the town that have money in that reserve account are on board.
Yep.
So those are conversations. And then there's an investment policy statement. I drafted it and sent it to you to look at. It's pretty in-depth and follows VSA and VLCT requirements. But it also talks about, in there, it spells out what we're comfortable investing in, what we're not comfortable investing in, and what it's gonna look like, who manages it, how it's reported out to both the board and the taxpayers. So
Yeah.
Can I ask Heather, who are those other entities that have money in the reserve account?
So the fire department, the listers, their reappraisal funds are in there. And then there is, maintenance funds for the highway garage. There's the money that comes in from Pike for the use of duck pond, so
Cemetery.
cemetery, right? So we'll just need to make sure that everybody is aware of what money is being used. for
What would
this.
you tell the taxpayers if the stock market and the money market world crashed and then money disappeared?
Disappear, you're talking incredible black swan.
No, I'm not, I'm saying it crashes and the money's gone. There's no value in it anymore.
Most of these funds that we've evaluated right now, aren't really heavy in stock. They're more like into, funds. So, and there'll be some bond funds, I mean, there'll be quite a mix, in there, so they'll balance out as to returns.
It is diversified, and the interesting part, about the conversations that Tim and I have had with the financial institutions is about risk. And we know I'm a very low risk taker, whereas Tim may be more aggressive in the risk. So we've been able to have those conversations with the people that we've met with.
And what do they say in regards to the risk?
That's what they've given us, the proposals spell out, low risk, moderate risk, and they have, different portfolio options.
Most of these people deal with a lot of nonprofits, some municipalities, so they have some experience in, managing risk among, these type of entities, so.
Sean, in answer to your question, I would say back out to about 30,000 feet and look at the overall trends in the market through the Great Depression, World War II, whatever it was that happened in the 70s, dot-com bubble burst, subprime lending crisis. There's always going to be something. Hormuz Straits and world instability right now. We're going to recover from this, and the market trend is upward. If you look like with a 2 to 3 year horizon, it's always a trend. It would take an asteroid, a dinosaur killing asteroid to wipe out the market, it seems
It
like.
won't take much to beat our 0.2% that we're getting on our line right now.
So that's how I would respond. This is just what we're doing right now is only just a smidge better than putting the cash under the mattress. And we're not staying even with inflation as we speak, so we're going behind as we sit here doing nothing.
So is this gonna be, do we just tell you to move on, or it's an action item, so what do we do for action?
Well, there's no action tonight, I presume, correct?
So I would really look for a consensus from the 5 board members that this is a good idea. And that
Would it help to have a motion that the board is in favor of you continuing with the investment fund development process?
I don't know if it has to be a formal motion, I'm just gauging consensus so that we can move forward and bring a proposal to the board.
Well, let me ask this. Considering it's still a bit early in the process and there's still information to be developed, would the board be willing to raise their hand and say, yes, I'm in favor, or no, I'm not liking this so far?
I mean, I'm in favor of this. There are other towns that have similar funds set up. Cabot's a big one with their Cabot Community Fund. I took a brief look at their investment policy earlier today, and as long as, as far as the risky stuff goes, as long as you stay away from the cowboy trades, like the naked puts and calls, commodity trading, foreign currencies. They explicitly list it in their policy. As long as you stay away from those, you're gonna be okay.
Naked trades, that's a way to get into some serious deep trouble.
Yeah, or some serious windfall, but yes, serious trouble.
There is that too.
More than likely trouble. I think this is worth pursuing.
I agree.
We might as well, otherwise our money's just sitting there and it's growing mold in a sock under the bed.
And growing less valuable.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing Kathy say so as well. Kathy, anything else you want to add?
No, I think we should proceed.
Right,
I agree as well. I think we should proceed.
Aye, I'm in.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, and thank you for that, Heather. Oh, if there were a bigger audience here, I'd want to discuss this just to get the language going, but I did reach out to Fidelity and had a pretty in-depth conversation with them. My first take was, no, they don't have a municipal assistance department where they could help folks like us do what we want to do. But what they do have is a way for any individual in this case being a corporation or a town, we can sign up that way. They have a lot of tools and vehicles, as you would expect a company that has $18 trillion under management. They have a lot of tools for how to manage the risk inside a portfolio. The difference here would be that it would be us kind of managing the portfolio using their tools and their investment suggestions to accomplish the things within the fund. And there's obviously a lot of human support to make this run, but there's not a specific department that does what all of our proposals have proposed. In other words, we wouldn't be paying a fee for what we're accomplishing, but it feels like we might be hanging our rear ends out into the wind a little bit if we were managing this ourselves.
You'd have to pick somebody who
agree.
can manage it, number one.
Yeah.
You'd have to pay them, so you'd have to look at, what you're paying them and, what you're paying for a fee. I mean, basically the fee is just for
Their management.
their management
Yeah.
professional.
But what I'm thinking, and it's, not fully formed, I want to go back and have another conversation. It sounds like it's worth even thinking about, but saving whatever the percentage fee is, which makes our fund more valuable. There's management liability associated with it as well, though, and maybe that's just a little too uncomfortable
And it
for.
should be managed by somebody that's not a town or elected official.
I believe that would be smart.
I tend to see that point. And I'm not sure I see a way around it if we were to utilize a Fidelity investment vehicle.
Well, one way to look at it is if it is solely on the treasurer's department, that office could change. And somebody could come in after Heather and have totally different ideas.
Yeah. Well, that's the purpose of the investment, what did you call it, document that you sent to me?
Policy statement, investment policy statement.
I presume that once this is set up, it continues in perpetuity, regardless of who moves through the office, correct?
Yeah, I think what Deb is just saying is that you're gonna have in the future treasurers who have different levels of understanding and.
Risk tolerance.
Yeah.
And they won't have me looking over the shoulder like, let's do this.
Right.
Not that I have a real voice in this.
You always wanna set up those types of things for sustainability, regardless of who's in the treasurer's position or on the board.
Well, I can't remember if this was discussed at a past meeting, but we would need a vote of the taxpayers at town meeting to establish this, correct?
No, we don't.
No.
This
I think
fully
that's a
within
treasurer's office.
the treasurer to implement, the board to approve.
Even though it involves like handling of reserve funds?
In that fund, there are no real reserve funds. Okay, the reserve fund is earmarked that you can't touch the principal. I can't think of one
Isn't the
group of money in
cemetery?
there that just can't be used for anything.
That is separate. What you're talking about, the one that's for the perpetual trust for the
Right, and
cemetery.
that
is
remains outside of all this
That
consideration.
remains outside
Oh, yeah.
of this.
Yeah, because that one states right in it that the original amount cannot be touched, only the interest can be touched.
Yeah.
From 1957.
I mean, if we needed to, we could take money out of any one of those funds and use it for anything. You may have some people get ugly at it, but we could use that money for anything, so.
And it
We
has-
never did, we didn't do it, a lot of towns did it during FEMA,
Yes.
They drain their reserve accounts instead of borrowing money. We borrowed money instead of draining our reserve funds.
I thought up till Hurricane Irene, we had a significant amount of cushion, financial cushion.
You've always had a good cushion, but
So we did, and the former select board used that account to pay FEMA. For FEMA expenses as opposed to taking out a line of credit. That's how that was drained.
For a town the size of Waterford, I would consider a good cushion, 8 figures.
Well, we're not there yet.
Nope. Like to.
We have slowly worked our way up from what it was when I took over to where we are now, so.
Does Cabot have a nest egg like that?
Theirs is north of 8 figures, but they also,
Seriously?
well, they had a loan that came in, I can't remember the exact history of it. It had something to do with something the plant had to do, so it loaned money from the town and paid it back with interest. It was decades ago. So,
8 figures for an investment fund?
well, 8 figures is what, 10?
10 plus,
millions?
yeah.
I believe it's right. I believe it's around there.
Wow. There's our goal.
But then again, that is, 45 years now worth of, money going into the fund and it being reinvested, so.
I'd like to know who was playing the long game 45 years ago.
Someone who was doing the math, clearly.
So the timeline for the board, it would be great if we could schedule a community meeting sometime between now and the working meeting in whatever, June 1st. I don't know what you're doing for your meetings with the Memorial Day and everything in there, so that a decision can be made. I have a very short timeline that Tim is happy about, but also weary. I'd love to see this implemented July 1st, so we could have 6 months of investment for 26.
There's good reason to do that because the equities market right now is pretty low, so it'd be an advantageous time to start getting in.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening in the fixed part of the market, the income generating part of the market.
So it'll be community engagement, and it'll be my recommendation to the board on the proposal.
Assuming you'll come to the community engagement and educate everybody on your different proposals.
I will be at the community meeting, yes.
Deb, what does that look like in practice, the community meeting? We're gonna plan something in the gym to get as much community involvement as we
Yeah,
can?
we'll have to advertise it in multiple places and get the word out.
Okay, well in advance, not just the 2-day notice minimum.
Yes, we're talking weeks in advance.
Yeah. Okay,
The one thing to think about is we have to work around Waterford Schools calendar, where we're ending the end of the school year. They have multiple graduations happening, and whatever else they do.
So should we make a motion to have Deb look into an appropriate date within the next month to have this community meeting, advertise it,
I don't think you need,
have it?
you don't need a motion.
no, it's just a.
You could just
board
ask-
decision.
just ask
You
me.
could just ask her to do it.
Yeah, I can do that. You wanna shoot for May? Is that what we're thinking?
middle of May.
You and I can work on it then.
We can, yeah.
Come back to the board on that.
I'll let you know.
Thanks, Heather.
Yeah.
Anything else that we should touch on that hasn't yet?
I think so.
Okay, any final questions from the board? Okay. I, for one, am excited about this possibility. All right, so next item, MOU discussion. I have some notes here. Heather, do you want me to read this and then lead in? You take over?
Yeah, whatever's fine.
All right, so not an action item for tonight. A couple of things have to be worked out. So the proposal that seems to be on the table, or at least the process, would include Heather, Roger LaRue, and Jason Miller with CCSD, Caledonia
Cooperative.
Central Supervisory
Caledonia Cooperative School District.
Thank you.
which he is the chair of.
Okay. And this is all to work out such items as insurance and what else?
So,
Even in a
okay.
condition of finding.
So Waterford, the town of Waterford doesn't own the school any longer
No.
since the Act 46 merger. So CCSD is the school board that oversees Waterford, Walden, and Barnet schools, which is a part of the Caledonia Cooperative School District. And then CCSU is the supervisory union. So there's a couple steps. I think it would be important for Roger as the emergency management person to meet with Jason, who's the chair of the CCSD board, to talk about what the town of Waterford is looking for with the use of the Waterford school. Because then Jason can bring it to the CCSD board and then to the CCSU board. So I think there's a couple of conversations that have to happen before a drafted MOU is brought anywhere.
By way of saying, it is premature at this moment to act or even think we can act.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of historical knowledge that, has been lost over iterations of school boards. And the only reason that I have it is because I was on the board when Act 46 happened and the consolidation happened, and I served 9 years on the school board and supervisory union boards. So I know what it used to look like.
And again, the big picture here is we want emergency resources available in case of a disaster or some other reason.
So historically, the school was used as an emergency shelter. For the gymnasium was used as an emergency shelter. So we used to pay part of the generator maintenance for that building. It was an every other year thing so that we could use it as an emergency shelter. And there were supplies that were placed there, and there was, all of that type of stuff. But obviously without the town owning the building, those things have kind of fallen to the wayside and there's nothing in it.
So do we direct Roger to have this meeting or do we make a motion?
No, if the board is in favor, then Roger and I can schedule a meeting with Jason and have a conversation.
Sounds like the next step, doesn't it?
It does to me, yeah. And if I'm understanding, there's no action tonight. It's just the board
It's kind of more as an information of the steps that,
information development.
yeah. Obviously Marcel and I have access to all of our insurance stuff, so we know what the town of Waterford has for coverage, when we're asked
I would
by
probably have to call
CC.
Bassett and
Right,
find out just what this would involve.
right.
I don't think they'd probably have to put the school on as an additional insured.
Right. I mean, I think it would also be important to see what questions the CCSD or CCSU boards have. And whether, the Barnet school or the Walden school are used as emergency shelters.
If we do that, is there a cost on insurance every year, even if you don't use it?
That'd be a passive question I'd have to ask.
We'll have to ask them.
That was why I called them last week.
Sometimes they're not very good at getting back to you.
And other times they won't.
There's only one person manning the emails and the phones, I think, so they're busy. They're very busy.
I've got the girl's number that I can directly call, and she usually answers me pretty fast, so.
Oh, that helps.
Yeah. So if the board is okay with that scenario moving forward, I can touch base with Roger.
Well, speaking as one, I favor anything that brings more information to completeness before we act, and it sounds like we're not at that step tonight,
Yes, please.
and thank you. Anything else on MOU discussion? Okay. Next item then, certificate of compliance, discussion, action. This is the roads and bridges, Deb?
Yeah, I'm looking at a different agenda. Mine says cemetery.
You're
Mine,
next.
Yeah, we have cemetery after certificate of compliance.
Oh, okay, okay.
Does it matter to you? Deb?
No, I'll hang out longer.
You wanna get out of here, don't you?
I do, I'm not feeling well.
Oh, why don't we just, if it's okay with the board and the public, move the cemetery deed action up?
Sure, fine by me.
Anybody object? No. Public? All right, cemetery deed.
Pretty straightforward. This is the first one. I'm sure you will see many more in the next month or so. This is the season to sell.
And it's just a straight up
It's
action.
a straight up cemetery plot. Yep. She would like to lay her beloved to rest as soon as possible.
County of Concord,
That's where she's from.
in the state of, oh, okay.
She lives in
Yeah, I
Concord.
did too.
Okay.
Mrs. Hartshorn. All right, so then, I would entertain a motion to approve the cemetery deed. This is a purchase and the right to use that plot for burial.
So
Okay.
moved.
Will moves, second.
I'll second.
Okay, Kathy seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of this motion for a cemetery deed and plot, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Here's the ayes have it. The ayes do have it. I'll go ahead and sign.
If you don't mind, while you're all signing, I'll jump into the next topic, which is cemetery update. Exciting news, St. John's Bury Academy sophomore stewardship will be in the Lower Waterford Cemetery on Friday. We have 24 sophomores in the morning for a 2-hour session. We have 31 sophomores in the afternoon session. So we will be getting lots of cleanup done.
Wow.
Headstones and whatnot. I did cover it, so that's good. The other thing that I want you to make aware of, some of you may have seen the Facebook post that was put out today. We have had 2 stones that have gone missing from the Lower Waterford Cemetery. Samuel and Esther Benton, buried in 1857 and 1860. Those stones have been removed in the last 3 weeks or so. We are not sure who's removed them or why they've been removed. So, we're trying to find out what's going on. That gate has now been padlocked, so whoever wants to get back in has to contact me to get in.
Any indication it's a theft or don't know?
I would like to think it's not a theft. That was my initial thought when I went down. I thought somebody was grave robbing.
Yeah.
But the hole's not big enough.
Are there any local descendants?
I have no idea. I can tell you that, Mr. Benton owned what is now the Turret's house back in the early 1800s, or was Turret's house. It's now Myers, at the top of Simpson Brook and Daniels Farm Road.
Has law enforcement been notified?
Yes, yep, we filed a report with, state police. Mark has reached out to, 2, if not 3 of the agencies who put stones in our cemeteries, and they don't know anything.
Has anything like this ever happened before?
Not in the 4 years I've been here.
Wow.
So,
Mildly disturbing.
I was greeted with a piece of plywood. That's how I knew it was missing.
Like someone had put a piece of plywood in place of the headstone?
No, over the holes.
Oh,
Yeah, because I was walking down the road going, why is there plywood laying in the middle of the cemetery? Yeah.
Thanks for the update.
I'll keep you apprised when I know more.
Any questions about cemetery, not deed, cemetery update?
No.
All right, Deb, sure hope you feel better.
Okay. Nothing good to stay home tomorrow, I'll be on.
Heather, thank you again. Of course, you're welcome to stay as long as you want. I don't think it'll be any more interesting than it's been.
I think I have some answers on your compliance, highway compliance.
Oh, all ears. So then let's turn to the certificate of compliance. I, for one, continue to be a little bit confused by what kind of information we need in order to certify the town's compliance. And my problem here is that I have a pretty clear legal understanding of what is required to make a certification and the due diligence that's required. I don't feel like I'm there yet. So Heather, can you guide us here?
So I don't have anything on your roads and bridges standards. That's the orange book. You'd have to talk to the road foreman about that. I have answers, the annual financial plan that was in your packet as part of that compliance. I had questions about, so in the past, I have been in this meeting with Logan, so I know where the numbers come from, but I was not asked to be in this meeting this time. So what I can tell you is my two questions were B and C under the expenses. It's my understanding, and what I've seen in the past, is that this is built based on the approved town report, town budget from the taxpayers at town meeting. So Logan takes that and categorizes the expenses into it. So B, for FEMA projects, I was trying to figure out what FEMA projects he was talking about, and it's actually the interest that's going to be paid on the line of credit. And then C, appropriations, I was trying to figure out what those were. And in looking at the budget, I believe it is the 25,000 for capital purchases for the two. So it was $25,000 for future highway garage renovations and $25,000 for capital investments. So that would be the $50,000 that's in appropriations. So those are the two answers I came up with.
Town garage and equipment. Okay, I see what's going on here. So the value of the equipment sitting in the garage is 63,100 and change?
I'm sorry, what are you looking at?
Part A.
Okay.
And the only reason I'm asking the question is that seems like a really low number for.
So I'm assuming, and I didn't add up those numbers because I wasn't concerned about that, but my gut tells me that that is the expenses that go for maintenance on the vehicles in the building, if you added up those expenses.
Okay,
But I can't tell you that for sure because I didn't add that. I didn't do the math.
that's helpful. As far as this process is concerned, they don't care about what the actual market value is of the equipment sitting in the garage?
No, so this annual financial plan is built off the approved budget of the taxpayers on town meeting. So he basically takes the town report and goes through the highway department budget and categorizes the expenses and adds them up, and that's how he gets the expenses.
Is amortization or depreciation of the equipment included in any of that?
Not in municipal accounting.
Not municipal.
Is that right?
Yeah, so this expenses, the bottom little bubble, is taken directly from the approved budget
Okay,
for the town report.
just out of curiosity, where does depreciation get accounted for?
That's not in municipal accounting.
That's another set of questions later, but not here.
Yep.
Just for my edification. All right, Heather, I'm trying to get my head around what the body of documents are that the board needs to be familiar with enough to say, yes, we certify. You said the orange book downstairs, sounds like we're gonna have to crack that open and take a look.
Yeah, so it's my understanding that it is a certification that the town agrees and that it will follow the roads and bridges standards laid out by the Agency of
And we have
Transportation.
no choice
in the
about
budget.
that. We accept and follow that if we want state money.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, and there's another part?
The inventory.
Yeah, I was just saying, so that's that piece of it, is that we will comply with AOT's standards. And then this financial plan that is signed off on is the basis for future grants that we would receive from Agency of Transportation.
I know, the foreman is, anxious that we approve, we certify the compliance here. Is there any reason why we can't be ready to do this at the next meeting? Is there any reason, well, I can't do it tonight. I don't know. I can't
Okay.
speak for everybody else.
Yeah, and so there was a grant
Yeah.
that you signed off on.
Yeah.
Which was the Class 2 paving grant. That's not gonna be, that was due by
May
April.
1st.
April 15th. No, you signed the letter of intent for 27.
Okay.
So the Class 2 paving grant was due by April 15th, which was submitted. So you will have to sign that before it goes.
Okay, what about this one that's due May 1st?
That was a letter of intent. We did that.
Sign that and I.
And that doesn't really, that just says that we intend on putting in road segments that we're going to update.
I presume the term intend means the town is bound to take action as a result of pursuing this.
So typically, the grants and aid, they send us a grant document that says this is the dollar amount we have determined you are eligible for. And then the road foreman determines which hydrologically connected segments he's going to upgrade to standard. So that's typically what happens. The town could always say, no, we don't want that grant.
Would we ever actually do that?
No.
I mean, stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
So,
Money is good, getting work done is good.
Okay, so this sheet where he's answered yes for the sections is all these items behind it explaining why he put yes.
Yeah, I saw that, that part. But I presume that there's a map that goes with this. And I think he showed us how that map works when we visited the town office, the town garage.
Yeah, there's a portal that you log into that'll have a map of Waterford and has all the roads and they're colored. So green is good, yellow is not, sort of there, and red is, please fix this now.
I think that was about the time I asked Jim whether this job was just a really endless game of playing whack-a-mole, depending on what the conditions are on the road highways and the weather we've had. Yeah. I'm starting to get my hands around it. Thank you. So, is there anything with a little bit of effort on the board's part that would prevent us from certifying this at the next meeting?
I don't believe so.
Okay, then, if the board is on board, I would like to target this for an actual action. I point out again the word certify, so, you have to be ready to sort of hang your select board member hat on the diligence you're gonna put into this, including myself.
So what is the hesitation in approving this tonight?
I have no idea what's actually in the Orange Book or the hydrologically connected road segments. And I can't certify anything with the lack of information I have right now. If you want to hold a vote, I would be voting against it until I have better information.
I'll move that we approve the certificate of compliance this evening.
Anybody want to second that?
Taking the 2 weeks doesn't put us behind in any way, shape, shape, or form.
No, I think last year it wasn't certified until July.
That's what I keep hearing, and I don't think we have to wait that long, but I'm not prepared tonight.
But you will be in 2 weeks.
That's what I'm saying. You as well?
2 weeks it is, brother.
We're gonna be busy. All right. Heather, anything else on the certificate of compliance?
No, I only had the financial piece.
I'm sorry?
I only wanted to answer those questions on the annual financial plan.
And you have, is there anything else to present? Okay. And, I guess no Will's motion, but there was no second, so it, dies before it reaches the table. Okay. That concludes certificate of compliance then?
Working in the yard.
Nothing else? All right. So, I believe that takes us down to board housekeeping process and potential discussions and actions. So, I guess I'm gonna lead off here. I've been gone for 2 weeks, and it's come to my attention in my absence that the Caledonia Record Highway road crew advertisement was modified after I sent out a notice to the board, and I guess I'm a little curious how that happened, because there's a problem in all of that. And before we enter discussion here, I think there's something that has to be raised, which is the board is a unitary entity. No one person is the board. The board is comprised of 5 people, and a board action is a majority of the seated board. In other words, a quorum. So nothing happens and nothing can be decided without the majority action. So, you know, there could be some discussion about the Caledonia Record ad. But then there was also a change to the town Facebook site, or it was the town website. And I don't know, pull down pretty quickly, but my question is, how did the town Facebook site or website get amended without a board action? Anybody want to address either one of these?
What did the Facebook page get amended to without a board action?
Well, I'm only going on what I've heard from the office, and it's not clear whether it was the Facebook site or the town's website, but Robin Migdalany's complaint against me asking for recusal was appended either to the Facebook site or the town website. Does anybody have some information about this?
Wait, so you're saying Robin Migdalany's letter for accusing of conflict of interest was appended to the Facebook page?
I have incomplete information. I think Deb brought this to me. Marcel or Heather, do you have any information about this?
Not about the Facebook page.
I don't think it was on the Facebook page.
Was it on the town website? Something, I wish Deb were here.
Yeah.
Some info.
The only thing I'm aware of is Caledonia Record came out one day with Heather being a contact. The next time it was ran, it had been changed to the select board. Heather notified them, they changed it, the next one to treasurer. And that's when I told them to kill the ad because there have been too many people with their fingers in the pot, and we'll address this later on.
So the reason I'm bringing it up is that it was kind of an unusual period of time. Deb was out of the office, I was gone for 2 weeks, and somehow the Caledonia ad was changed from resumes going to the clerk, which would have been the treasurer in this case, and changed to resumes going to the select board email address. And right or wrong, my email to the board before I left was, we're going to do this such that the treasurer is going to receive the applications, resumes of interest.
Which is not the
That's how we
motion that the
voted.
board voted for. The board voted for it to go to the entire select board. So why was that change made without a select board approval?
The clerk was running the ad and made a decision that Heather would collect them and we would be discussing them as distributed on the 20th. And I supported that decision. Did the board actually vote that the resumes were going to come to the board?
I think what we voted on was the board, Jim, and the town clerk.
We voted that they be sent to selectboard@waterford.bt.gov, which goes to all 5 select board members plus the treasurer, assistant treasurer, and clerk. And then Jim asked if he could be CC'd on any of them.
I remember Jim's interest. I'm looking at what we did here.
On the live stream, it was discussed as to whether or not, the town clerk could provide a compiled PDF of all the applicable resumes. But then it was noted and kind of then dismissed to say, well, since it's going to select board, you guys will see them.
There's nothing in the minutes that reflect where the resumes were to be sent. Will, say again what you just said.
So on the recording of the meeting that's posted to the YouTube channel, we discussed having the clerk compile resumes and send them to us, but it was also noted that because the resumes would be going to selectboard@waterfordvermont.gov, that we would be looped in on them anyway, as well as her, the treasurer, and the assistant treasurer.
You know, guys, for me, I think the more important issue is they had 3 applicants. 2 of them didn't have any experience. One has limited experience plowing for the state of New Hampshire on a plow truck. And we should be talking about that. And where are we gonna go? Are we gonna interview any of these people or not? And if we're not, should we re-advertise?
Which needs to happen in
Figure out-
executive session.
Right,
Yeah.
well, you need to figure out how the ad got changed. Who contacted the Caledonian and how it got changed.
I contacted the Caledonian. That was how the ad got changed back to select board because that's what we had approved in the meeting. And then once Tim's email got sent out saying, no, this should always be going to the clerk and treasurer, I recalled the Caledonian saying, hey, if the deadline hasn't passed already, please, fix it back. And they said we would, and I guess it didn't happen.
So
you
you
know what?
called the morning that you sent the email out stating that it had the treasurer on it before Tim's email went out, you contacted them immediately?
I did.
Before my email came out.
Yes, your email came out in the afternoon. I emailed you guys around 9 in the morning.
All right.
So I'm gonna say that I have a wild turkey farm in my front yard and the tom turkeys come every day and they put out their fangs and their necks get red and their heads get blue. You 2 guys can't keep doing this or we're not gonna get anything done.
No, Sean, I have to disagree. You're misunderstanding. There is a board process and this one, hang on.
I'm including him. He shouldn't have called the paper because we made a agreement and it should have been kept. The agreement that the board met should have been kept.
No, I'm gonna accept Will's explanation here that he made the change with the Caledonia record before my email came out. And I'm gonna say that there was a lot happening around that time, if you remember the timeline with other things going on. So I'm gonna take Will's point and say, we're gonna have to let that one go and move on. And that's where I think it should lie in this case. Okay?
Good with me.
All right. The other issue is still how did the, either the town website or the Facebook site get amended to include Robin Delaney's email? And of course, my problem isn't that, her email was appended to the site. I think maybe it should be, but that's a board process and it can't happen unilaterally on any one single person's action. That's the point of this discussion.
Well, the only person on the board who has access to the Facebook page is me, and the only changes I made to the Facebook page were to post the job advertisement, which was then taken down because the one I posted had the Selectboard on it. And then one was subsequently posted that had the treasurer email on it. The only other things I've posted since then involved Green Up Day advertising promotion from Priscilla Foster.
Okay.
And I don't have access to the town website, so I don't know who has
It
access
wasn't
to
on
that.
Facebook, it was.
What's what?
I don't look at the Facebook page, I have no.
I'll follow up with Deb. And I don't want to make a big deal out of this. I just want to make sure the board is acting within its board authority, which is a majority of the 5 members of the board approving an action. And that's the bottom line. So with that, I'm going to move on. Now, for public consumption here, we hired Joe at a Burlington firm, McNeil Sheedy, and I forgot, Marcel, do you happen to remember who it was? Joe?
I don't remember.
Joe Farnham.
Farnham, yeah. To help out with a records request that was kind of hitting at a really bad time, and it was a large record request. Deb was out of the office and I was leaving the office, and we just needed a little bit of assistance moving that over the finish line as far as production and keeping within state of Vermont rules regarding record requests. This one was large, so we went out to the time limit. Joe Farnham was quite helpful, experienced attorney, and I could see his use in the future for other difficult municipal issues. I spoke directly with Joe on Monday after I returned, and here's a point that we should consider and keep in mind. Of the emails that Joe was screening, the email records, Joe said that in some of those, he believed that there could be somewhere in the state of Vermont, a judge that could look at those and say, yeah, some of these emails toe over the line of violating open meeting laws. In other words, it seems like there is some business that's being discussed in those emails among the select board out of the view of the public. And Hannah, I hope you'll gather this information for the minutes as well as you can. So, and then he went on to say, and if a judge made such a conclusion, the consequences would probably be a rap on the wrist and an admonition to knock it off. I would, dangerous to make assumptions here, but I would characterize what was happening as probably naive and ill-informed. I don't think there was anything that could be characterized as malicious, and I think that was Joe's impression as well. But I bring this up to say that we as a board probably ought to be a little more cognizant about not sharing so much information by email. And I'm guilty of this too, so don't think the finger's pointing just outward from me, because I have to look at my actions as well. And I've sort of felt an increased urgency to sometimes say more than I should as the chair recently, but that's not an excuse. So all I'm saying is let's tighten that down a little bit. And if we have things we want to say, it really should be in open meetings. The other thing Joe mentioned was the potential for taking excess liberties with executive session. Those exceptions in the open meeting laws are to be construed very sternly, and the overall purpose of the law favors public discussion and public inclusion. So protecting records or protecting subject matter in executive session should be only for strictly the reasons listed in the exclusions in the open meeting laws. And I'm not saying that we've actually violated that since I've been chairing the board, but we have had a lot of executive sessions. So I intend that we're going to be a little bit more careful about entering executive session and staying strictly on topic. And I will appreciate everybody's assistance with that. So questions, conversation, question, edit, thoughts?
I have a lot of them, but I'm not so sure it's the right time.
Public meeting.
Well, one, I would wonder how we could repair our relationship with this lady here. Do we owe her an apology? Can we give an apology and call it water over the dam and be done? What can we do?
Personally, I think part of it needs to be that Will needs to recuse himself more regarding decisions over Jim's performance, his pay, and major decisions that are made with Jim, because it has been very obvious in prior meetings that he has taken Jim's side. Even when I sat on the other side, it was very obvious that he and Sue Hayes were very defended Jim on a regular basis. And I will tell you right up front, if I feel that it's a conflict for me, then I will certainly recuse myself from any decision that has to do with Jim Hayes if I feel like it's a conflict. And I hope other board members would do the same.
Kathy, are you making a motion out of that, or where are you?
Does it need to be a motion? I'm just stating my facts, that I feel that that's what should happen.
I have another thought that I'm.
Well, hang on, I want to follow through with Kathy first, and I do want to hear your thoughts, Sean. The relevant section of 24 VSA 1992 would be C, subsection C, where the board can make a motion to recommend that a select board member recuse themselves. But that's, to my knowledge, as far as the board can go. Just a recommendation, but it's a motion, it's an action. Under subsection C.
According to Jamie, the attorney that I had spoke to during some ethics discussion, he said the recommendation was as far as we could go.
That's what I
And
understand.
I forwarded that, I think.
So I'm new to this. If I'm saying too much, cut me off. But I'm very concerned that some of the discussion that's going on between some of these folks is setting the town up for a liability suit. And that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing at all.
What discussions?
Yeah, and what liability, just by discussing it?
Liability for one, the characterization about, and I'm just gonna put it on me, do I read and write? Number two, I'll put it on me. I'm concerned about the fact that somebody said I had a relationship with a young lady in high school that was 100 years ago. I don't know if those things are malicious or had malicious intent or not, but in my little CSI TV mind, it talks to me about liability and the potential for somebody to sue the town because you defamated my character. And I don't think we should be there.
The flip side of that, in my opinion, is that if we are discussing expensive board business, such as deciding what to do with the town garage, and a member is conflicted because we're going to be dealing a lot with the foreman and taking information from the foreman and making decisions based on a lot of foreman feedback. And if a member of the board is conflicted with the foreman, then if it's a close vote, say 3-2 in favor, and the conflicted person is voting in favor, then somewhere down the line, a member of the public can speak up and say, hang on a second, a conflicted member of the board participated in that decision and it's a problem. What do we do at that point? The rules, the law says we would be obligated to redo the action without the conflicted person involved. But if we've already spent money and committed ourselves to a course of action, how do we unspend that money to make ourselves correct? So there's a lot of long-term issue involved in this. And I just like that it keeps coming up, but we're going to have to be, as chair, I have to be mindful of exactly this as we go forward. And there's no escaping it is the problem. So
We could dilute the whole board, and he can recuse himself and you can recuse yourself.
Well, I think,
I have no reason to recuse myself, and
I don't either.
I've stated that.
That's a
I think everybody now knows what the conflict of interest. And they've read it, it's been brought to our attention, and so I think when it comes to that point, we just have to really follow the ethics, conflict of interest. And everybody has to be on board and follow that, so we don't have that problem going forward. And everybody has to follow that ethics and be right on board and follow it to a T. And if it has that appearance, then you need to recuse yourself. Not just family member, monetary, whatever. If it has that appearance, then we all need to take that into consideration and recuse ourselves from that decision that's being made.
So as part of this, and thank you, Kathy, as part of this board housekeeping matter, in issues where it appears to the chair that we have to tread carefully because of appearances of conflict of interest, it likely, the subject is going to be surfacing again as we discuss and take actions on big dollar items in the town's future. And it's not, a pissing contest. It's just keeping the board decisions and actions clean and clear of any potential conflict of interest and all the financial implications that could follow through because of potential or appearances of conflict of interest. So that's it. I just want that clear in the record. Anybody have a question or a comment? Heather.
I just want to revisit the Caledonia ad for a moment, okay? So the meeting minutes do not state, they say that you are going to place an ad
Correct.
in the paper. It does not specify.
Go ahead.
Sorry. The problem was that you cannot have multiple email addresses in an ad. And Deb said to me, would it be okay if the resumes were sent to you because I'm gonna be on vacation and Tim is leaving? And I said, it's fine with me, I don't care, I'm here. So my concern isn't about the email address or anything like that. My concern is with the process. So you're talking HR, you're talking about multiple ads with multiple email addresses that break the HR process. And we look like we don't know what we're doing. So if you had had people sending resumes to the select board email address and my email address, and one was chosen over another one, you can get into some hot water because the process wasn't clean. And that is my concern. I'm not an HR professional, but I've been in the professional world for long enough to know that a break-in process like that could create issues such as Sean was talking about. So for a board member to make a decision like that ruins the process.
And I guess my question is, when I emailed on Saturday morning to the board and said that the new ad now said select board, and I sent that to the board and I asked who changed it, I did not get an answer. And I felt if you changed it, you could have at least said, I did well.
Well, because I had attempted to change it back. And I will say, this wouldn't have happened if what the board had approved, which was that it go to selectboard@waterfordvt.gov.
That was not written in the meeting minutes.
Doesn't have to be in the minutes, it's in the recording. It was the ad that we approved, said selectboard@waterfordvt.gov. That was the template we were working from.
So that was an issue you should have taken up with your chair, who should have had a conversation with the town clerk.
Yeah, I don't
You
think
do
that's.
not unilaterally make that decision because the process is ruined.
That's fair and dandy, but I raised it to him.
Well, it's not fair and dandy though, because there was a cost associated with publishing that ad, and that's taxpayer dollars.
And I killed it.
So it's not fiscally responsible what happened, and it ruined the process. I don't care whether the resumes came to me or not. I have no skin in the game. I am a professional that collected resumes and put them in a OneDrive folder for the board to see, as the board chair asked me to do. You can't mess with processes like that or you're gonna get in trouble. The town is gonna get in trouble.
She's right.
The chair is in agreement, and I would like to avoid trouble at every opportunity to avoid trouble. It's not personal, it's just we have a process and we need to follow it. I hear what your point is, Will, but there could have been communication about that as well. Anything else? Appreciate it, thank you. Okay, anything further on board housekeeping process, discussion, action? All right, then we're moving on. Zoning for highway garage discussion action. Is this you again, Heather, or are you out of here?
I am out of here. This is absolutely not me.
I'm looking at you, Marcel.
I have no idea on zoning, that's a Matt thing.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Matt's not here. We failed to invite him here.
I think he just brought it up at the last meeting that we were gonna have to have a permit. Did he not
Yes, he did.
mention it at the last meeting that we have to go through the permitting process to build up the merge?
He mentioned at the last meeting what?
Did he not mention at the last meeting that we might have to go through a Act 250 or permitting process to build that new garage?
I think I recall the Act 250 number. It would not be Act 181, would it? That's an agricultural standard.
I think it's if we were to build a whole brand new building, we'd have to go through Act 250 versus putting on an addition.
Or existing,
Or
renovating
modification.
an existing structure, yeah.
Wouldn't that come under the feasibility study though?
Yeah,
Do that?
I would think so.
exactly what I was thinking.
I would think it would be.
If I'm hearing right, then we're in no position to have any conversation about this tonight, but a feasibility study is probably a good spot where this is gonna start to come up.
I would think it would.
Yeah.
They usually
Part of that
draw in there,
process.
so.
Why don't we move directly to that then? Town garage, feasibility study, mold results. Sean, this is kind of your area, isn't it right now?
Yeah, there's two proposals, one from H. Jansen and one from Black River Design out of Montpelier. One proposal is for 10 to 12,500, and the other proposal is somewhere around $25,000 or $27,000.
Yeah, I read them both. Kathy, you are magnificently prepared.
I try to print everything out and just put it
So
in the.
25 to 27 was Black River,
Yes, ma'am.
and who was the first one?
H. Jansen,
Thank you.
the Black River Design folks talked about having a plethora of people involved. And
I have it in front of me.
they both talk about basically giving the same product in the end.
But E.H. Jansen was gonna take theirs off if they got the bill. I didn't see that in Black Rivers, did you?
E.H. Danson was gonna do what?
Oh, right here. 24,636.
These services take less time, we will only charge you for our time spent.
And the reimbursement expense is to be 400, where E.H. Jansen said if they got the job, I believe that my printer's not set up right, can you tell? That they would, if the proposal is accepted, we will prepare, and if you have any questions, please feel free. But I thought he said that they would deduct this fee.
E.H. Danson is half of Black River, so it's hard to imagine they can get cheaper. And the question I have right away is, what do we get for the different prices and service?
I thought they were both basically the same.
Sounds like there's gonna be a much bigger crew on board Black River, and that sort of goes to,
Travel time,
they're coming from where?
Montpelier.
They're both known as good companies.
Sean, if we go with, whoever we go with, I presume they would be taking it to the next step as well, doing whatever designs
That
and,
would make sense,
Yes.
yeah, it would make sense. And
because in the conversation with E.H. Hanson, if we go to the next step, they would do a couple things. One, they have town garage plans for other towns. If we worked off of one of those set of plans, he talked about a reduction in costs.
Black River or E.H. Danson, like,
E.H. Hanson.
okay, yeah.
My question is, did they give you dates?
They did not give dates. The other company did give
Black
dates.
River.
They did give dates, but they said they probably they'd have it done by 12/31, which is pushing it if we're gonna try to have something for the vote for the town meeting. Don't
I did talk about dates with the fellow from E.H. Hanson, so he knows a timetable.
Kathy, are you
Get it to town meeting.
figuring that we may potentially be ready to present a plan and a bond vote by town meeting?
No, but if we had a feasibility study done, we'd have some idea whether we needed to do.
Which direction we're going?
Yes. So you could present that to town meeting.
I think that would be great, because I
Don't
feel
you
like
think?
we've kicked it down the road so long.
Don't you feel that's what the feasibility study is for?
Yeah.
So we can proceed
Yeah.
and then put it before the town and let the town tell us which they want to do, because you're gonna have comparison, whether you have a new building or you have renovations.
One thing we know for sure is that either avenue we go is going to require borrowing money because we don't have it. And I think something of this magnitude is a town meeting bond vote, if I understand the process correctly.
I'm talking to Marcel, I believe there's a place to get public money, and you have to be ready and apply for that sometime towards the end of the year or right around the 1st of January.
You're talking apply for public money at the end of 2026,
Correct.
beginning of 2027. I don't know much about those avenues. I'll take your word for it.
I just got it from Marcel.
Okay.
What about the FEMA money that has to be spent by the end of the year?
Which is 27 and change. So.
I thought it was ARPA money.
ARPA.
ARPA money,
ARPA money,
whatever it was.
Yeah. So it's 27 and change, so that if we do this, it will still give us, the 12,000 would still give you 13,
Yeah.
roughly 13 that we could,
And then we'd have another 14,000 we'd have to somehow figure out what to do with.
Does the firehouse still need attention?
Nice problem to have.
You can't wait for town meeting.
they need a roof.
No, this would be within board authority to designate a use for the ARPA money.
And did they get the water problem with the frozen pipes fixed? Between the,
I think my understanding is all the
Between
exposed pipes were brought inside the building.
So that's fixed.
It is. Anyway, is it the board's intention that we act on one of these proposals tonight?
I don't think we have any choice. We just keep pushing it down the road.
Yeah, that's kind of the first of a big step.
Can we get the summary on the two figures real quick? What were the equal costs for each roughly?
The
Not one was bigger than the other.
Yeah, almost twice.
$24,636.
And who was that?
That is,
Black River.
Black River.
Black River, okay.
And E.H. Danson was.
I think it was 10,000 to 12,500.
I'm looking at it right now, 10,000 to 12,500
Plus the cost
of
to.
normal reimbursable expenses.
Yeah,
Sorry, I speak for you.
that's fine. Mine's upside down.
Whereas with Black River, that's included in the 24,000 number. I can't imagine it would be
No, in
12,000 in reimbursables.
In Black River's proposal, it talks about adding engineers and other type of professionals. That would cost more money.
Their proposed design team is an architectural, 2 architectural people and 5 different consultants. Well,
Yeah, is that a little top heavy in process rather than just getting the drawings done and the analysis done? In other words, is it a somewhat padded budget for our initial feasibility study process? Sean, you'd be in the best position to have a feeling about that. No? Well, let me put it this way. What are we giving up if we go with the lowest cost bid here?
They're local. They're the next town over. So we're giving up travel time, which is cost.
Mhm. Expertise?
That I don't know the answer to, but I would guess not. Because E.H. Danson has done town garages recently for 2 or 3 towns locally here already.
Go ahead.
E.H. Hansen says right here, based on the requirements for current and future use, we'll evaluate the suitability of the current design. Once our evaluation is completed, we'll prepare an opinion on the feasibility of the building for future use. This would include an opinion of probably cost for renovation as compared to the cost of construction to a new facility. This will not be the detailed cost estimate.
So each Danson won't be a detailed cost estimate of new construction, whereas Black River would.
Is that what it says?
Yeah, can you tell me where you read that? E.H. Danson?
Right here, it's right,
Okay.
the 3rd line up from the bottom. No.
Yeah. An opinion of probable cost for it as compared to the construction. Oh, I see.
The study will be included into report format and photos will also provide a report in PDF.
Cost for renovation. So if I'm understanding this correctly, E.H. Danson is not providing a detailed cost for the renovation, and will they be able to tell us what it would cost to build new? Because that's what we're trying to figure out.
That's what I assume that would mean. Review our conceptual plans, initial site plan options. Black River plans on having 3 meetings with the owners during the whole process. So that's gonna make your time and your costs go up. 3 separate meetings with us.
I think we got the wrong proposal from E.H. Danson, because I don't see anything that evaluates whether we would be better off building new. And I thought we needed an answer to that question. I feel like we need an answer to that question.
Yeah, I do too. You think, Sean, that we could go back to them and ask them?
Absolutely.
Just to make a informed, I don't know, it would be nice to.
Yeah, I'd like to put get an action as well, but I feel like this is kind of a big piece missing.
Right.
And if their price needs to increase, that's fine. It probably will draw closer to Black River. Well, Wade suggested, based on the conversation while you were out, that we go back to E.H. Danson and ask whether they can amend their proposal to include a potential cost to build new, so that we can compare the new cost versus the renovated cost. It looks like E.H. Danson didn't include that in their proposal.
Okay, do we think they'd be able to get us that in 2 weeks?
Yeah, I'll call tomorrow.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. So anything else to discuss? Because it sounds like there's not an action on this tonight. And I'll make a note for,
Was there anything on mold results?
the mold sample they tested came back bad, but I don't recall if it was black mold. And what I haven't done is look up the Latin name that they gave for the mold present to see exactly what that was and what the health risk was.
Do you remember roughly what the Latin name was?
Oh, you're kidding.
Was it aspergillium?
That's good. And no, I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm just going off of memory of what the previous mold study was that was done in 2023. So it could be the same, it could be different. That was nothing of value for me.
The state was in and did a look around. I don't think we've gotten their feedback yet.
This you're referring to the ocean inspection?
Ocean inspection.
Yeah. And we may be coming to the possibility that if we're not ready to actually treat the mold or remediate the mold, that we might have to seal that portion of the garage off.
Which might use, if Hanson's isn't much more, we might be able to use some of that ARPA money.
For remediation? Yeah, what a killer though, if we end up renovating the garage rather than.
No, but if you shut it off, block it off, no. Then you'll have to deal with it then.
Yeah, we probably won't have all that ARPA money left at that point, no matter which proposal we take. The bid came in for the remediation around 24,000 or 25,000, which is kind of fortuitous that our ARPA money is about that much as well. But we also want to pay the engineers for the feasibility study. We're not going to act on the garage tonight, but May meeting. All right. Where are we at? These the Highway Department codes and standards update discussion. This was what Deb was referring to. It's the state's standards and codes. If we take state money, my understanding is we have no choice but to adopt their codes. Folks want to act on this tonight?
Did we have this in our packet? I'm only seeing a certification of compliance. I don't know if that was attached to the end of it. I see the letters of intent, but unless these are the road and bridge standards, but I thought that was the certificate of compliance as well.
I thought they were all connected.
Yeah, they are. In order to do the certification, we have to be on board. The board has to approve its adoption of the state standards.
Well, then I move to adopt the new state highway department codes and standards.
I would second that.
Motion and second on the table. Thanks, Will, and Wade second. Discussion then. It's kind of like, we have to. And I feel a little bit naked in that I don't fully understand exactly what it is and how it fits in, but if it's something we have to do, I say, let's do it. And if we've made a mistake, we can come back to it in the future, but I think this is the right step to take. And so that's my 2 cents. Anybody have anything else to add or ask? Okay, call the vote. So all in favor of adopting the State of Vermont Highway Department codes and standards as updated, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? It appears the ayes have it, and the ayes do have it. Alrighty, agenda items for next meeting.
I think we should do the feasibility again.
Yeah, we need that one. We need the credit card.
Well, there's four policies here.
All 4 of them.
Yeah. First read policies approved.
Need the certificate of compliance.
Yeah.
I also received a letter from Jim Hayes on ethics. I have not read it yet, but I should bring that up in the next meeting.
Can you give us a taste?
I can't because I haven't read it.
Okay.
I just got back from down south and then that was there. But I will email it to all of you tomorrow. I'll scan it.
Okay.
So you know, and all I know is that it's simply about the process of the ethics. Which I too will have to research.
Yeah. Road commissioner?
Road commissioner?
We don't have one right now. Or
The board is the road commissioner.
Yeah, but
I think
being
we're required
compliant,
to-
we have to have somebody by the state.
Yeah. We have to have a designated road commissioner. Here's a weird one, and we kind of missed this, and it's within Vermont statutes. And Wade, I don't know how you're gonna feel about this, but apparently, if the town has employees, one of those employees should be the designated ethics liaison, not a member of the board. The board would be
Great.
The board would be the second choice if there were no town employees.
I feel wonderful about that because there is so much with this and trying to research and you get no help from the state right now.
Yeah, not much. So, yeah, and so it'll shift to a paid employee of the town, and great. If this is correct, then the process would be, I think best that you resign the position, probably in writing, and we take it up at the next meeting.
That's fine.
Okay?
Twist your arm.
Yeah, I'm sorry that you're gonna miss this job so much.
I know I miss the ethics. That's for sure.
Are you aware, and I'm sure you are, that Jim is asking for every email and correspondence that has anything to do with it?
I've responded.
Yeah, I have to.
I sent in my one.
Other agenda items?
Deb gave me some that she wanted on. Health and disability, discussion and action.
I think that was
Colin?
Colin, yeah.
Yep. And we need to appoint a DRB member, an auditor, and a road commissioner. And the DRB is Daphne Bullock, resigned
DRB, Daphne Bullock resigned.
back in December, I believe, December 15th meeting.
So we need a new DRB appointment?
Yeah.
Appointment,
To replace Daphne,
and we need an auditor still.
yes.
Any interest in auditor position?
I haven't heard of anybody.
Okay, hopefully things will change in
Should
2
we-
weeks.
I don't know, unless we put something on Facebook. Approved first reads, we got that, and then the town clerk update.
Did you say something about Colin? What was that one?
That's the health and disability. Colin's
Oh.
recommending we upgrade what we have. At least that's what I think he's going to say.
Thank you.
Okay, so, let me see, Act 250 for garage, who was that? That's Matt Walsh, yeah?
And we decided we were going to, well, he can bring it up, but it would be part of the feasibility study, wouldn't it?
That's a point too, but if, we're looking at having to deal with Act 250, I'd rather know that quicker than later.
Right.
Should we maybe have some discussion about Matt Walsh after what we heard tonight? I mean, he kind of sat here 2 weeks ago and
We're not his supervisor though.
The board signed his contract.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I thought he was elected.
No. Right, Will? Didn't you?
Yeah, we signed his contract. He's technically under us.
Well, Sean, if you think that's important, I'm only one voice.
yeah, what do the rest of the folks think?
I think it's worth having a sit-down discussion with him to see what's up.
I had a good discussion with him a while back and,
Yes, it would be executive session.
Yeah. When did we have an executive session with him?
no, I spoke with him on the phone because there was a couple of things I needed to work out regarding his work with the Matt Walsh. Is that planning or zoning?
Planning.
Zoning
Planning.
administrator.
BRBO, but
Planning and zoning. And I thought things were pretty well settled. In fact, I still think they are, but you're taking issue with his public comment at the last meeting.
about the listers.
I'm not necessarily taking issue with anything until I have the full information in front of me, but I think we should have a sit down with him and see what
And
that was about.
so if you have a contract in the office, you saw the contract that didn't have, was it scratched out or not?
There was no modifications to
So
it.
he had presented that to us at the last meeting, that Ron had scratched that out. So there's two different contracts,
Yeah.
correct?
What's the date on the contract you're referring to?
Or the one he had been scratched out.
Saying that he didn't have to necessarily attend the Saturday meetings.
I think it was
because
last
he didn't
year.
have time.
Last year, the
Oh,
part
yeah, he was saying, look, I'd like to do the work, but I can't do this and this and this.
Let me see. I think I have that in here.
the planning board.
Yeah, I have it right here. Yeah, either way, this discussion should happen in executive session because it's performance related.
27th January 2025, 16 months ago. Okay. How long is this good for? Just 3 years?
3 years it should be.
Okay, there you go. Well, I just want
Well, that,
to get along.
if that is different than the one that's in the office, then that should be the one that's in the office.
Yeah, I think that might have had an outdated one. I think 2024 is what I saw in the office.
We only. did
Yeah,
you start
that's
that
not a-
far ago?
Well, maybe
I thought
he
it just
started.
started last year.
I can't answer that at this point.
I don't remember. The second thing so meeting date is May 11th, correct?
Say again?
Yes.
May 11th.
Yeah.
The next meeting is Memorial Day on May 25th. Her proposal is to move it to June 1st and eliminate the first June meeting, which is June 8th, and then have the one June 1st and June 22nd.
I have no problem meeting June 1st. In fact, that serendipitously works with potential travel schedule in June.
So would June 1st be a regular meeting or a working meeting?
regular.
meeting.
So we wouldn't
Did you
have a
write it
working
down?
meeting in May.
Yeah.
We would just move up the regular meeting in June.
Right,
Is that right?
yes.
Yeah, so no working meeting in May. But this would be a 3-week interval, which is a pretty good compromise. Okay. Thanks for bringing that up. So May 11 and then June 1.
June 1 and then June 22nd.
Next.
You do have on your agenda items for next meeting, the NVDA update plus Act 181.
That's right.
That one does have to be next meeting because, and in the NVDA, we are voting on the approving the future land use maps and the regional plan at the end of May. Or May 21st.
Okay, NVDA update on May 11 is discussion and information, not action.
Well, I would put action in there because we're discussing future land use maps. I'm gonna send you guys a couple of links tomorrow.
Okay.
It is going to be a wall of information, be fair warned. The regional plan is like 50 or 60 pages long.
Thanks, Will. What's most critical to understand in there?
Basically, I'm also gonna send you a list of public comments and questions on it. Essentially, what you have to understand is it's all in flux because of what's going on with Act 181 and why I think it should be tied to the Act 181 discussion, because they're talking about like a soft repeal of the Tier 3 road rule.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So it doesn't necessarily affect us. The future land use maps from the NVDA are merely suggestions to our planning commission. They can't actually mandate anything, but it still says, hey, this is, this is how we classify different types of land for, extractive use. It's not heavy industry. They have a different term for it. Rural general, rural ag, conservation, et cetera. So be mainly looking at that and comparing that to what we currently have for our zoning map, which should be pretty similar.
Mm-hmm. You said heavy industry, would that be in a commercial category? Well, obviously it would.
I can't remember what it's called. It's not commercial, it's commercial. So actually I had it right here.
But anyway.
Enterprise area is what they call it. So that would basically be the area down here. I have it right here in front of me. It would be like this area in front of Pike where the highway garage is.
Yeah.
So like under that action item, I wasn't sure what the discussion was gonna be, so I had some notes about stuff, but like the Galander pit is in rural general because that's not, that's a residential lot.
Yeah. The link you're gonna send is gonna include that map?
Yeah, so it's gonna show the whole state. You have to zoom into Waterford.
Mhm.
And then I'll send you a link with the regional plan. They have it broken down into little sections of links. Then I will also send you a link to their public comments. It's basically if we see anything on here that looks glaringly wrong, like if they completely miszone something, or if, something looks wonky, I'm also gonna send it to Matt Walsh. See if he has any thoughts on it. And it sounds like with the Act 181, we're gonna be inviting some public comment of our own with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so.
I look forward to seeing it.
And that Act 181, is that where we should write a letter from the select board, or?
Well, that's what they're asking, is that we write a letter saying, hey, guys, let's
Temper this.
tone it down with the Tier 3 road rule
Okay.
and stuff. That's what the person was asking us to send.
Okay.
Do they have a template they want us to sign, or do you have a good enough grasp to?
You can look at
Work around.
templates of what other towns have sent. Concord sent one 2 weeks ago. I read it, it looked reasonable. It wasn't hostile. It was just like hey, we're looking out for our people. Our people aren't happy. Here's why.
A couple of weeks ago, or maybe sooner, David Zuckerman had an opinion piece in the Caledonia Record, long, but very articulate. There's probably a lot to glean out of there as far as Waterford's concerned, just FYI. Any other agenda items?
I think that's plenty.
So, Will had raised a little bit of an issue regarding having surprises sprung on the board on agenda issues. And so I'm gonna comb for additional agenda proposals, several to many days before we solidify the agenda into a final draft for publication.
Generally, what Ron would do is he would send it out like the Monday before and say, hey, this is what we're looking at. If you see anything you want to change, you might tweak something, you might not. And then if we don't hear from you, it's going to the person on Thursday.
I'd like to adopt that process as well, so
What
folks
about
have
the
their say.
personnel policy?
I think, whatever it is that, Deb is working on may be ready for presentation by then. So, I'll just make a question to inquire with her. Okay. That's May 11. Okay. All right. We got a lot there. Hopefully everybody feels that's good.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So next is executive session to review applicants for the highway department. Let me ask the board. We've got one resume that looks pretty good, two that don't. Do we need to discuss this tonight?
I don't think so. I think that we need to repost
I was just gonna say
Yes.
the same thing.
and leave those three that we have, but let's repost and see what else we get.
Yeah. This would have been a good addition to the agenda. Approve an additional advertising period. Folks want to take a chance and act on it right now?
We do have executive session. Would that cover it?
That kind of has to happen in open
No, that's
meeting.
off topic. Yeah, the ad approval has to happen in the public.
It's still here.
Yeah, it'll get in the minutes, but it wasn't warned.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of an administrative item.
So it needs to be an agenda item for next time.
Oh, yeah, but that's 2 weeks out. Our bad. We could have applications, resumes ready with Jim. What about this? Take a little bit of a chance here. Is the board inclined to act tonight? And then run it past Deb to see what she thinks tomorrow.
To incline to act on reposting?
Correct,
I don't see how we can act if it hasn't been warned though.
because it's darn near administrative.
Just looking back, and Will, you probably remember, didn't we say something? If we only got so many, we would repost anyway?
Let me see.
That was discussion. It's not in the minutes.
It wasn't, okay.
Do you have a video transcript?
So YouTube automatically generates transcripts of these. This happened in the May 30th meeting.
13, April 13.
Right.
No,
No, March 30th.
Sorry, March 30th, that's what I meant. Would have been this one.
it's kind of mid.
Yeah, so if you go down here to the description, there's a show transcript button and it pulls up the transcript over here and you can actually search it.
I wouldn't say that's reliable for quotes, though.
Not for quotes, but you can go back to the relevant section and listen.
Timestamp.
Yeah. Okay, it was down near the 20-minute mark. Nope. Was it the 30th? Or was it the 23rd? I think it might have been the 23rd, unless it's in.
Or were you talking historically, Lee?
No, I was talking for this posting specifically.
We're talking about what? About $200 worth of Caledonia Record advertising? If anybody said, yeah, but it wasn't warned, I would agree with that.
I don't
Alternatively,
think it was March 30th.
we could.
It is March 30th. It was the,
Highway ad is on
Yeah.
That's the 30th, yeah.
I'm moving chairs as you search.
All right, so we are eschewing an executive session for tonight's discussion of applicants, if I understood the board.
Correct.
Okay.
I don't know what that word means.
Eschew,
Yeah.
a polite way of saying do away with.
How do you spell it? Is it
Yes.
just S's?
ESCHEW, check that. And I have to do this, I'm sorry.
We sent a email earlier today, I believe it was about Jim and the discipline process. Did we want to discuss that at all? Or?
No, I don't think so. Wade agreed to write up the notes from our last performance improvement plan, and that still needs to be done. And you're looking for feedback, correct?
Yeah, that's what I sent you guys, whatever you think.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna call you on vacation, but then I thought, what's the point? Because Jim's not gonna be here.
All right.
One of the things I'm thinking. is
You didn't
we should
find it?
include-
No, it's,
We can't re-advertise.
I didn't see anything explicitly saying that in the transcript, so.
Well, I hate the thought of waiting for 2 weeks. What's the board's appetite to come together really quick after a properly warned, like, for 10 minutes just to take care of the action?
Sure. Yeah, man, I'm free most afternoons this week.
I can.
I can. Wade, are you available for a quick flash meeting, properly warned, run the ad?
Which day are you, what we gotta do?
Well, it would be 2 days from tomorrow is our minimum time.
Wherever I am, even if I have to phone in, I'll do it.
We'll do it? All right, good. Then why don't we, let's see, tomorrow's Tuesday. If we get it before 6 into the record, we could do it Thursday. How does that sound?
Thursday, then we can get it into the weekend edition.
Deb said last time that if she got it in on Tuesday, it wouldn't go until Friday or Saturday. So I don't know. It might not go into Fridays, it might go into Saturdays though.
We won't be able to act on it before Thursday,
Well, the
so.
town office, remember, the town office isn't open on Friday.
No.
So
So,
we can do Thursday.
Meet Thursday, but then it's going in next week, the next week.
Be nice to have it for the weekend.
If we could have it in this weekend, if Deb could have it already, she could have it ready to email after our meeting.
yeah,
We do
well,
it early.
we would still have it online for the weekend, right? We'd have it on Facebook, V-Trans, et cetera.
All right, what time Thursday?
6 o'clock works for me.
All right, 6 o'clock
If
Thursday?
we do it during the day, that's fine. I can come during the day.
I
He
can just
said-
phone.
Like I say, I'd have to phone in during the day.
I'm looking at you. Thursday, 6 or earlier on Thursday?
Well, on Kathy's point, if we do it earlier on Thursday, then that gives Deb the afternoon to get it in the paper.
We still
The
have to
town
be,
office is closed on Friday, right?
right, 48 hours of posting notice, so technically that would have to be out in the public by noon tomorrow. Not that it couldn't be.
I could do noon. I could
Didn't
actually
say
do
if
noon
it
in
could or
person.
not, because I can't put stuff on the website.
No, the notice for the meeting.
Right, I can't post them. I
Uh,
can send them in.
The town office.
Heather can get it in as well into the spots. And maybe we'd call on her to do it.
Yeah, I could send it to her tonight, so it'll be there for her in the morning.
Great, okay, so meeting Thursday, 6 PM, library.
I thought we were gonna do it during the day.
Oh,
So she could get it in
So
the
she can get
paper.
it in.
what time?
Let's do it.
Yeah, I can do noon.
I can do noon.
Well, you guys are ambitious. Okay, noon.
And I will definitely have to call somebody.
Okay.
And this will be a special meeting, not a working meeting, right?
Special
Yes.
meeting,
One item only.
approved advertising. I suppose, no, we can't do the minutes yet because the minutes won't be prepared yet.
Downstairs or up here?
That's right.
Do it up here. Or do you want to do it downstairs? We
Doesn't
can
matter.
set up the owl and all that.
I mean, the owl's gonna be downstairs in the town vault anyway.
All right, noon.
Oh, true, it sounds like I shouldn't come to this one.
Yeah, we'll,
Also, I'll be at work, so.
This is gonna be
We'll be okay.
Deb can
straight
set the hour.
action.
yeah, I can set the owl up and record.
Noon Thursday.
But I thought you
Yeah,
did
just-
over phone.
No, if it's at noon, I can do it in person.
Oh,
If it's at lunch, I can do it in person.
Run ad
Oh, okay. Well, that would work better for you than if we did it earlier.
highway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could also do 6, but between like 1 and 6.
All right, so we're noon on Thursday. 27, 28, 29, 30th.
Yes.
Figure out what dates we
29, 30th.
want the applications back in by before that, so it can be a quick meeting.
Thanks. 4:30. All right, how about a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second.
Kathy, second. All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Any opposed? Done deal.
All right.
Anna, 8:35. That was a lot of work. Fairly efficiently